Welcome to the A New Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Hello and welcome. I am so excited to have sober lifestyle advocate, podcast host, and recovery storyteller, Cat Greenleaf with us today. Cat, hi.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting.
I am so excited. I have a bit of a podcast host crush on Cat. I can't help myself. And so I was so excited to have her on my podcast. I actually even curled my hair a little bit.
I love
Nice
it.
for Cat. I'm going to read a little bit about Cat, and then we're going to jump right into our questions. Cat Greenleaf is a sober lifestyle advocate, podcast host, and recovery storyteller dedicated to helping people rediscover clarity, emotional freedom, and authentic well-being without alcohol. After building a successful career in media and television, Kat experienced firsthand how high-functioning drinking culture can quietly erode mental health, relationships, and self-trust. Her personal journey into sobriety became a turning point, one that transformed not only her health, but her sense of identity, purpose, and emotional resilience. Today, through her platform, Soberness, an amazing podcast, Kat shares honest conversations, practical tools, and compassionate insight for anyone questioning their relationship with alcohol. Her work focuses on the psychology of habit change, the emotional roots of drinking, and the empowerment that comes from living alcohol-free in a culture that normalizes overconsumption. With warmth, humor, and deep vulnerability, Kat helps people move beyond shame and into self-awareness, nervous system healing, and sustainable lifestyle change. All three things I advocate for. Her message aligns with a growing movement. Sobriety is not about restriction or loss. It is about reclaiming energy, clarity, connection, and a life that feels truly lived. Kat, welcome.
Again, thank you so much.
I'm so excited. We have three major things in common. We are the same age. We don't have to talk about
27?
it, but we could. Exactly. Isn't that awesome?
I love it.
And we both love Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
we both have our Mr. Rogers changing outfit routine. when we
Yes.
come.
It's funny that you say that. I was just thinking about that today because I was out in the city all day long, and so I was trying to plan ahead, like all the different things I have to do. And truly, my sweaters are my most favoritist, right? But I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's going to be annoying to have to like on and off and whatever. So I didn't go with the sweater. And then I thought to myself, right, because your sweaters are your home clothes, you know? And it's
That's right.
important, I think, to have that different, your outside self, your inside self, private
Yes.
self for your family, you know? So there's different selves, right?
Yes. And I see we are both channeling our power turtleneck
That's right.
action today.
Not
So
that we need it because our
another-
necks are taut and wonderful. Just saying.
Really. So, Kat, there's so many questions. I'm just going to dive in.
Okay.
You're coming from the entertainment industry where drinking is 100% part of the culture. As I would say, drinking is a part of so much of our culture. Give me a picture of that moment when you knew alcohol was taking more than it could ever give.
Girl, it is so many decades before I got into the entertainment industry. I knew, I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but before I ever started drinking, that was for me. I once heard it described. I saw how my family changed on Friday nights during Shabbat when they'd be drinking Manischewitz wine. And I saw the guards go down, and I was like, oh God, I can't wait. But knowing myself sort of innately, even as a kid, I knew that I have no off switch and I take everything too far. So I could just tell like it was going to go badly. And lo, it did.
I see. And I know on your podcast, you've actually questioned, like, you know, what does this constitute an addiction? You've even had guests on that have, explained to you that it does. And I think that the biggest indicator, if it is a problem, is if you do not have an off switch. However, there are a lot of people who do struggle with alcohol who don't necessarily have that, difficulty with the off switch, but that really do struggle with that kind of high functioning alcoholism. Is there any way that you can explain that to people so that they may then look at their drinking in a different light?
Listen, I think everybody has to be very honest with themselves about whether or not their drinking is a problem. So ever since I started doing this show, a lot of people come to me and they want to talk about how they're alcoholics and this, that, and the third. And maybe not. I mean, if you just like love to drink, but maybe do it too much and you can reel it in, do not get sober. No need, because it's really hard and unnecessary if it's not a problem. I'll contextualize it in terms of my own life. I always knew alcohol was a problem. However, the occasional pot gummy, never a problem for me. Or at times when I've had to go on medication for pain or whatever, I didn't take that down the road in the same way. And therefore, I'm not sober from those things because I need them from time to time. So I just think it takes an honest conversation and a look at yourself. How is alcohol helping my life or hurting my life? And this could be with anything, with food, with relationships, with shopping, with self-talk. I mean, there's just like so many ways we can hurt ourselves or help ourselves. And not every bad thing is a bad thing for you. And not everything that works for one person works for something else. So I know that that's a little wishy-washy sounding, except in my life, that is exactly how it's borne out. Meaning, if I had to quit every bad thing, like for example, I just housed 2 chocolate chip cookies in like 20 seconds flat, and I'm about to have a Diet Coke. I don't know, all those things are supposed to be bad for you, right? And I don't care because I'm not going to have 10 more,
Exactly.
For someone else, that could mean diabetic shock. Yeah, I don't know.
I am of the proponent. Much of my work comes from working with people with disordered eating and eating disorders. So I am of the mind that there are no good or bad foods and that we should be tuning into our body to let our bodies know. And so what you're talking about is the same thing. And I think so many people kind of check out. They dissociate when they're doing, quote, the bad thing. They're not really checking in with their bodies. They're not asking those questions. How is this helping me or hurting me? And so I absolutely agree with you that everybody's journey with whatever substance is a personal journey where somebody might be able to handle that okay. Another person might have zero control. And the important work is actually going in and asking more of our intuitive self and not what's up here in the mind, the
Right.
chatter that you hear up there, but really truly asking the loving part of our body, why are we doing this? And is this helping or hurting us? And I think that that's a really powerful way to find your way to either stopping, slowing down, or continuing along as you were doing before. Was there a particular moment, or were there was there someone in your life, a family member, family members that inspired you to say, this is it, no more for me, I am absolutely done?
It's such a good question. No. And I wonder about that a lot. I have a husband. I have best friends. I have close relationships with other family members. And nobody told me to stop, even though I felt like everybody knew it was a problem. I think my husband probably didn't want to hurt me, and he knew that I was struggling and that I was trying. He knew I knew I was struggling, and he didn't want to force anything. My parents are an interesting thing. When I finally did get sober and I did the 12 steps, and I got to the 9th step and the apology step, which for me was the most important one. The amends was everything. And we can talk more about that if you'd like. But my dad said, his response was, wow, Kat, I never considered you as an alcoholic. And I'm thinking, I fell into the table. I started fights. What do you mean? But but no. So nobody did. And I find that remarkable given what a career drinker I was, given what a bad drinker I was. So I don't know why nobody said anything, and I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just confounded. It was really wild to me that nobody did. But I'm here to tell you, there was definitely a problem, and it was definitely obvious. It's not like I was masking, you know?
Yes, but I think a big reason that no one said anything is it's so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
And I do want to come back to your ninth step because that's a really important question. So I'm going to come back to that right after this. But I think because high functioning alcoholism is, or even just alcohol consumption alone, whether it's high functioning or not, is ingrained into our culture. And you even see so many high functioning, successful people who can drink and be okay, even if they're not okay. So they're not necessarily seeing your behavior as abnormal. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
everybody drinks. This is no problem. This isn't a problem because it's a legal substance. Whereas if
That's
you
right.
were doing this with
Right.
cocaine every single day, they'd be like, huh, no, this is not
Mhm.
okay. It's just a part of our culture. But you you had alcohol affecting you in so many different ways, even though on the surface you were high functioning and successful. What were the quiet ways this was affecting, energy, mood, your sense of self?
The shame spiral that kicks off when you know you're bad at drinking and don't stop, for me, was a constant. And it is a lens that colors everything else that you think, do, feel. So any other person I would see take just a half a glass of wine at dinner or something, I was like, they're the Messiah, they're amazing, and I'm a loser and I suck. Or people who didn't drink at all somehow were like morally above me, and I was they were just a mirror for how bad I was. And also I thought I was lazy. And so here's the thing. I'm only now 12, almost 13 years into my sobriety from alcohol, starting to realize that I needed it. I needed it to um, get through the harder parts. I had some, as everyone does, some hard things go on when I was a kid, and I drank to blot out those memories. I drank to get away from uncomfortable situations. I drank so I could exist within my skin. And I am only just starting to realize that that's a coping mechanism that some people use and that I used. And so I can forgive myself for it now.
Mm.
For all these years, though, and I'm about to be 54 years old, for all these years, I just assumed I was bad at it and I was weak for not stopping it. And even if I had this disease of alcoholism, I should have been strong enough to not pick up that drink, and I never was. But alcohol was my shield for a long time and my, protector, except it's terrible because then it hurts you. And now you need another protector to protect you from the alcohol. So it's this ugly cycle. I hope that answered the question.
Absolutely. I think shame is one of the biggest uh, factors that erode our sense of self.
Yeah.
And it sounds like going through recovery, you essentially did your own ninth step on yourself where you forgave yourself for those quote weaknesses. But I counsel so many people with substance abuse problems. And I think it really does stem from being unable to face certain things.
Yeah.
Substance abuse is about not looking at the difficult things, about turning their eyes away, about coping, about and a lot of these things are very, very difficult to look at. And so I always encourage people to look at their drinking or look at their substance use with a lens of self-compassion.
Yeah.
Anybody who experienced what you experienced would probably want to cope in that same exact way. But now let's find some healthier ways for you, ways that don't harm you to cope with what you've experienced and to heal from that. So that segues into the ninth step with forgiveness. And, I've listened to lots of your podcast episodes, and a lot of people struggle with the concept of forgiveness, whether it's forgiving others or forgiving themselves. And I think Unit Zappa had a really great, that's, her definition of forgiveness is what I personally adopt and what I help my clients, um, adopt as their view of forgiveness. But why do people have such a problem with that word?
Gosh, this is a great question. Listen, I think boy, it's such a big topic. And in fact, it's funny, you're really zeroing in on a lot of things that I was just thinking about today. I was on the subway when I was coming into town this morning. I was thinking about self-forgiveness, and that the way that I justify my own self-forgiveness is by forgiving everybody else. It's just like so much easier to, because if one forgives oneself, like this one and this oneself, I feel like, oh, I'm just letting myself off the hook. You know, People love to be guilty. And really, I think humans are simultaneously too hard on ourselves and too easy on ourselves, given whatever the situation might be. And in my case, self-forgiveness felt like I was giving myself a pass when in fact I'd wrought some real damage in my time, and so I shouldn't just have this pass. But the way I then forgive myself is, well, if I can just let everybody else off the hook, then I too deserve to be let off the hook. So it's a little, it's complicated. It's a bit of a hall of mirrors, like once you get in it, I mean, should I be forgiven? Should they be forgiven? And then what is forgiveness even? And this is what I've been chewing on recently. What even is it? Does it
Yes.
mean, I don't have to think about it anymore? Does it mean you suddenly think I'm great, even though I've done something really raw to you? Does it, what is it? I mean, I'd ask you, what do you think forgiveness is?
Oh, thank you for asking, because I have had that same struggle for so long. And I will tell you, I read an amazing book that changed everything for me. It's called Forgive for Good by Professor Luskin. He's a Stanford professor.
Forgive for
And
good. I got to write that down.
yeah, it's so great. And I'll send you the link.
Please.
It changed how I view everything about forgiveness, because we usually think about it as like saying it's okay what you did, even if what they did was completely not okay. And that's why a lot of people can't say that's okay. I don't condone that action. Well, he termed it in terms of the self. When you have any kind of resentment, any kind of harm done for you, and you harbor it in your body, it flies around your head like an airplane that can never land. And forgiveness, he touts it as letting go of the resentment and what that does for ourselves. It's Forgiveness is not about the other person, it's what it does for us. Because when we can just look at a situation, whatever the harm was objectively, and I like to have my clients kind of catapult into the person who harmed them, and try to imagine what it would be like to be in their body. Say it's somebody who raped you, which is a horrible, horrible violation. Well, the person who's raping has to be in such moral and ethical and self-hatred difficulties to be able to actually perform something as awful as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can see that objectively, and you can see that they are probably suffering more than you are. Not to say that that's like gonna, it's like a tit for tat or anything like that. And you can see that it's not doing you any good
Mm,
to harbor that resentment and
mm,
that hatred. Then the letting go of that is the most freeing thing that can happen for your body and your soul. And when I say body, it's like resentment sits in our bodies and never leaves. But when you do say, I am not going to carry this anymore,
yeah.
I am not going to harbor this in my body anymore. And I am going to let it go and I'm going to free myself. That's forgiveness.
Yeah.
And the feeling is amazing.
It's like weight
So I'd
loss
love
right
your
there. It's
thoughts
like
on that.
Ozempic for the soul.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
without all the side effects.
I don't know. What are the side effects bad? From what I understand, you just like lose crazy weight, no?
Don't even get me started. I just did a TED talk on this
Oh,
subject.
on you like Ozempic or you don't like Ozempic?
Not that I like or don't like. We're seeing a lot of eating disorders and disordered eating come from that naturally. Obviously, I mean your digestion slows. This is a whole other podcast, but just basically, the end result is what I do with all of my clients in the TED Talk. Is I help them remember how to tune into their bodies and listen to their bodies. So if they are taking it, I have no judgment on people who are taking it, but it's not doing them any good. They can actually tune into their body, and their body will tell them if their nervous system is calm, their body will tell them this is right for me or this is not right for me. And that's the only important takeaway for anyone
Yeah.
is that no one can tell you, not a doctor, not anyone, when it comes to your sobriety as well. No one can tell you but yourself whether or not it's right for you.
That's
And
right.
when you learn how to calm your nervous system and tune in and listen with, loving mindfulness, your body's going to tell you.
I mean, you just hit the key word right there, loving, right? It's
Yes.
about loving what it's so hard to love ourselves in a society that tells you that you are too big, too white, too black, too this, that, or the third. And so to really get to that spot is an achievement, isn't it?
It certainly is. And it sounds like you have also adopted some certain practices that help you get to that place. Tell people what's helped you, what has opened up for you in your recovery with your discovery of yourself.
Well, the interesting thing, so when I first, don't forget, I had a 30-year drinking career. So when I first stopped drinking, the beginning is just so hard. It's just so hard. It's so hard to be without your best friend, your identity, your prop, your destination, all the things that alcohol held for me. But also, like I said earlier, it's a shield, right? So when your shield comes off, suddenly you're exposed to the world. I'm exposed to the world. I am now having to feel, and there is nothing addicts hate more than feeling because we are addicted to things so we can not feel, So now I'm tasked with feeling. And anyway, as scary as that was, I got to actually meet myself. Because the other thing about being an alcoholic, the way I did it, was I spent so much time in shame and talking about shame and being mad at myself. I mean, talking about it to myself. And once that topic is out the way, well, now, Kat, what are we going to talk about with ourselves? Well, what do you like? What are you into? It was like getting to know myself. Um, and I had a lot of time to do that because I wasn't procuring the alcohol, drinking the alcohol, recovering from the alcohol, and then dealing with the aftermath, right? So all this time. And it has taken years for me to get comfortable with getting to know myself. One of the main things I learned is that I am not above trauma. I used to think that, well, trauma is like a trendy buzzword. And since I don't like to follow the trends, clearly I don't have trauma. I'm like above it or something. Only to realize that what I've done with trauma in my life is go over it, around it, under it, sidestep it. But I never really got to know my own. And I think it's important to be able to take a look at our own trauma because it can help explain a few things. So that for me was the biggest learning, was that I am not above feeling and feeling badly, and that it's okay to just feel badly sometimes. And my whole life had been an exercise in avoiding feeling bad. And I don't know why people are so averse to feeling bad. Like, it's just another feeling. It's just another feeling. It's just another one of the rainbow of feelings you can have. And it doesn't sit there forever. And come to find out, if you tango with it and if you deal with it, then it goes away much more quickly. So what I learned about myself is that I could feel badly, but not be bad. You can feel bad and not be bad. And I was so afraid of like being bad. And bad isn't a bad person, a bad soul, a bad. And so I learned of myself that I'm not any badder or gooder than anybody else. I'm just as good and bad as the rest of the folks. And so that was actually pretty big because I felt like I had this mandate from the universe to be better, to be more, to be exceptional. And I don't actually have that mandate. My mandate is to, I guess, be the best I can. If I want to, by the way, like what if you even don't want to? Then don't be. But it was a lot to carry to think I had to do everything more perfectly or more stellar than everyone else.
Oh, I think that's definitely a product of our generation for sure. That's messaging that we've received. And also, I think people who struggle with alcohol, especially if they do have trauma, is to really conceptualize the fact that their substance use is, in fact, a trauma response. There's fight, flight, which is what's happening when we consume substances, flee and fawn. So you probably are doing a host of different things when you're drinking, but most often you are fleeing and freezing. I forgot freezing. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So there's a lot that's happening. And I think that this has just been the acceptable way to handle our trauma. You see this all the time with vets when they come back from seeing horrible atrocities, is that they just disappear into substances, and that is a trauma response. And I think the more self-compassionate we can be about our trauma, and yeah, it was a buzzword. It is a buzzword, but I do think that it's all subjective. If you feel like you were traumatized, period, and end of story.
100%.
And looking at yourself compassionately and looking at that behavior compassionately can lead toward your recovery with a lot less shame and self-blame. Okay, well, we're out of time for this half, and I have so many questions.
Okay.
So we're going to hop off of this one, and then we're going to come back for the second half. But Cat, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and open and discussing something that is very difficult to discuss with a complete stranger like me.
You don't feel like a stranger.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next time for the second half of this amazing interview with sober lifestyle advocate, amazing podcast host, and recovery storyteller, Cat Greenleaf. Thanks for tuning into the A New Insight podcast. Please remember, the contents shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anu.insight and at anu-insight.com under the A New Insight podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anu.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.